Some days don't give you anything clear to point at. You wake up, go through your routine, respond to messages, maybe finish a few tasks, and by the end of it, nothing really stands out. Just a random day. No big moment, no obvious problem. If someone asked how your day was, you'd probably say it was fine. And yet, something about it doesn't feel fine. The kind of weight that sits in the background, it's heavy. Not strong enough to interrupt your day, but present enough that you notice it when things go quiet. There are the days that are hardest to write about. Because what do you even say? Nothing happened? There's no story to follow, no emotion that feels clear enough to describe, so the page stays blank. Or you skip it, telling yourself you'll write when there's something more real to say. But this kind of day is real in a different way. Not every feeling comes from something obvious. Some of them build slowly. From small things you didn't fully process, from thoughts you brushed past because they didn't seem important enough, from moments that felt slightly off but not enough to stop and sit with. Individually, they don't ask for attention, but together, they leave behind a kind of quiet heaviness. The problem is we don't always know how to acknowledge that. We are used to naming things when they are clear: stress, anger, excitement, but this doesn't fit neatly into any of those. So we ignore it, or we try to reason it away. Nothing's wrong, I'm just overthinking. But your mind rarely carries something for no reason. Even if you can't trace it back to a single moment, the feeling itself is still worth noticing. This is where writing one page can help in a different way. Not to figure things out, not to arrive at some clear conclusion, just to give that heaviness somewhere to go. An escape of sorts. You don't need a topic, not a structured thought. You can start exactly where you are. Today felt normal, but something about it feels off. And let that sentence be your guiding point. Stay with that and write whatever follows. You might find yourself writing about small things you hadn't paid much attention to earlier, a conversation that felt slightly distant, a moment where you felt disconnected without knowing why, or thought that passed through your mind and stayed longer than it should have. None of these things feel important on their own, but when you place them next to each other, they start to form a kind of emotional outline. And suddenly the heaviness doesn't feel as confusing, not necessarily lighter, but just clearer, without a name. There's a difference between carrying something you don't understand and carrying something you've at least begun to notice. Writing gives you that shift. It doesn't solve the feeling, but it changes your relationship with it. Instead of wondering, why do I feel like this when nothing even happened, you begin to see that something did happen, just not in a way that was loud enough to demand your attention earlier. And maybe that's the point. Not everything arrives dramatically. Some things settle quietly one by one over time. If you've been having days like this lately, where everything looks normal from the outside but feels slightly heavier on the inside, maybe the question isn't what's wrong with me? Maybe it's this. What have I been carrying today that I haven't really stopped to notice? You don't have to answer it perfectly. You don't even have to understand it yet. Just take a blank page, write what comes up, even if it feels small or incomplete. Because sometimes it's not the big emotions that need your attention the most. It's the quiet ones, the simpler ones, the ones that don't interrupt your life but slowly shape how it feels. And giving them one page, just one, is often enough to remind yourself that they're allowed to exist there without needing to become something bigger, just to be taken seriously.